Hi, welcome to Think Human. I'm Chris, and in this video I want to talk about good versus bad in terms of morality. Is there any way how we could objectively approach morality? And this ties in with something that Sam Harris has spoke about in his book The Moral Landscape, and a bunch of other philosophers who have expressed their thoughts on this. So, good and bad, right or wrong, these of course are all our human constructions. These are all social constructs that have evolved with us, and culture evolved because it's a useful thing to have. It's a useful trait to not want to kill other people. It's a useful trait to care for people and to be kind with people. It's useful not to be violent and only think exclusively about yourself and leave everyone else behind. There, in the real universe, in reality we live in, there is nothing like that. Morality is not objective in that sense. It can only exist in our human minds and collectively. There is nothing outside in the world that is actually good or bad. We project these qualities onto things and actions and events that we see in the world. Nothing is inherently good or bad. Even the most evil person that you can imagine is not really evil. Even the best saint that you could imagine doing good in the world is not really good in objective terms. So Sam Harris tries to make an argument, or makes an argument, that if there's anything we can agree upon, if there's some place that we could start from, then we could imagine the worst possible suffering for everyone in the universe. So the worst possible condition for every being in the universe versus the best possible condition for everyone in the universe. And his argument is that if we can agree on anything, it's that the worst possible suffering for every being in the universe is bad. And then we could follow from that by saying that the best possible condition for everyone in the universe is good. Now, I absolutely agree in the terms that if we can agree on anything morally, then we have to agree on that. But still, the underlying issue with that is that still takes us to imagine some kind of axiom. That means it still requires us to say that one thing in the world just is because we say it is. It's not inherently there. It's not written in the laws of physics that the worst possible suffering for everyone is inherently bad. There is no reason to really think that. Only reason is that we have this thing in our heads. There is not really objectivity about it. If we want to think of ways to think of the world, like how could we start talking about morality, then this is a valid, legitimate way to do this. We could say that the worst possible suffering, this is what we want to avoid at all costs. This is the worst scenario. And the best possible condition for everyone in the universe, this is the highest that we could aim for, and this is where we should go. Absolutely agreed. But in the real universe, there is no meaning in those concepts. There is no good, bad here. There is nothing there. These are all our own social mind things that we have invented over years and millennia. So it's interesting to think about these kind of things. That doesn't mean, like, once you understand that good and bad are constructs, it doesn't mean that you start like killing people or stealing stuff or whatever. Like, you still have that human part in you. It's the same kind of thing with free will. Like, we know that we really, in logically thinking, do not have free will. It just doesn't make sense by definition. However, we still act in everyday life as if we had free will. That kind of, we still have something in us that's like, we don't want, children, innocent children to die. And when we see something wrong or bad in our opinion, then we want to correct it, and we want to bring good to people and all of these kind of things. Of course, these are evolutionary systems that in some way I wanted to make a video also about. Is being good selfish? And in a way, being good is also selfish. It's the best kind of selfish because you're giving something to people, you're making people's lives better. But still, the reason for that, like, I could imagine some, person being in a cave for 20 years meditating and just, exuding love and absolutely selfless, and these kind of beings do exist. But doing good, essentially charities, all of these kind of things, what is that? What is the thing that drives people to do these things? That is, if you help another person, you feel good. So helping people for you to feel better. oh, I'm helping so many people, I don't even have time to, you know, work or play or have free time or anything like that. I'm doing so much for people, and oh, do I feel good about it. It's so fulfilling and wonderful. People do it to feel fulfilled and to have some kind of meaning in their lives. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if we're honestly talking about these kind of things, it is selfish in a way. Everything we do is selfish. I could imagine some few edge cases when really truly there can be an act that is like absolutely not selfless. It just goes out of the dimension of being selfish. But most things in our world, what we do, are selfish. Some have positive side effects, and that's wonderful. Some have negative side effects, and that's, you know, terrible. But however you look at it, it is mostly selfish. So morality is a tricky thing. Of course it's made up. Of course it's a human construction. There's nothing in the world that you could grab onto and say that this means that this is good and this is bad. There is nothing like that in the world. So depending how young you were when you learned this idea, it can be devastating or it can be empowering that, you know, you are not really responsible in that kind of way. You are free in this world to do as you choose, as long as, you know, we would hope that, you know, some good things, some good outcomes, that, you know, in the net your life will be positive for the world, that something good comes of this. Maybe, you know, do some bad things along the way, but the outcome will be positive. So moral landscape, I would really like to hear your thoughts, if you have any ideas about the idea of the moral landscape, that the worst possible suffering for everyone is bad and the best possible condition for everyone is good. You know, these, of course, they can't be objective values, but I would be interested to hear some thoughts, like, would this be a good starting place for morality? I think it very well might be, but there's a lot of work to be done there. So these are just a few thoughts about morality. I hope you got some thoughts from this. If you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.